From the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C.
ProLiteracy is one of the world's largest adult literacy organizations. We have programs in the United States, over 1,000 member organizations, most of whom are community-based and volunteer programs that are serving low-level readers all over the country. And that's both native speakers of English as well as individuals and immigrants coming in from other countries. And then we have partnerships with 131 indigenous programs around the world. And those are often programs we're looking at literacy, but also literacy in the context of other important social changes. And so we have projects that are associated with health and safety, violence and education. Again, teaching native indigenous languages with partnerships in those countries. One of the unique aspects of ProLiteracy is because of the community-based nature of our programs, we're often serving those at the lowest educational levels. There's a serious national and international problem relative to literacy, but particularly here in the United States. There are those who are at the very basic level, those who are reading between a 0 and a 4th grade education. Those folks are individuals who aren't yet even ready for work, getting their GED or looking at other high school equivalencies. They're often individuals who are completely marginalized, who live with a real shame of not being able to read and write well enough to navigate a bus schedule or to be able to shop. And so our programs are often targeted at those lowest levels. On the immigrant side, we'll have individuals who are coming to our programs, and often they are literate in their own language. So they have the challenge of being able to learn how to speak English, but then also looking at how to read and write from a conceptual level, read and write in English, and then learning about the actual concept itself before they've ever had a chance to do it in their native language. The real key, I think, in terms of literacy work, and particularly at the low level, is watching there be incremental progress. And the good news is that when you're working with individuals at that very low level, you can visibly see that kind of progress. And particularly as a volunteer, you're not going to volunteer, you're not going to stay associated with a student unless you see that kind of progress. So while we like to continue to assess in a formal way, through assessments or through tests, that growth, the good news is that on a local level, on a one-to-one basis, they see this kind of progress every single day. And they're able to make those kind of observations, make the changes, make adaptations to the techniques and the work that they're doing based upon progress that they're seeing with an individual student. And the good news there is that where they don't see any progress, it allows then an individual to go back to the local program and look at different techniques. Often we'll have undiagnosed learning disabilities or strategies that haven't been used before that will be successful. Nationwide, we try to aggregate that. So what we try and do is every year get a sense of what are the number of students you served, how many of those students have you felt that you've moved on to an identified next level, whatever that level is for your local program, and what are some of the examples of kinds of things that they're doing that they weren't doing before. And we collect that information, and we're proud to say that that network serves probably about 15 or 20% of the entire number of individuals served in a given year through adult education systems. And the kind of progress and the kind of life-changing examples are enormously poignant. Awareness of the adult literacy problem is probably the single biggest hurdle that we have. The sad part is that adult illiteracy is probably America's most solvable problem. We have the tools to be able to solve it. It is not rocket science relative to learning how to read. It just takes resources and time, effort, and commitment. So awareness is a key element to that, and it's awareness at all levels. It's an awareness at the policy level in terms of resources, in terms of programs, in terms of efforts that are going into adult literacy and need to go into adult literacy. And it's also important awareness at the local level and the student level. As I've mentioned, shame is an important element, particularly for folks who have gone through the adult education system here. They often feel responsible for their own illiteracy for their own lack of basic skills, and they're ashamed to be able to come out and ask for help. One of the key elements that often gets lost in looking at literacy across the lifespan is the fact that any efforts to remediate literacy problems at the youth level, K-12, will only be successful if there's a complementary adult component. Well, there are a couple of avenues that we're trying to look at exploring to be able to enhance both the awareness as well as the delivery of services. On the awareness side, we think that the country really needs to begin to bond this issue with other issues. And that means that looking at adult literacy as a key element to successful remediation to health problems, successful remediation to safety problems, by really looking at the impact of any major social initiative and thinking about what is it that literacy could help provide in terms of individuals who will learn more about their own health care, individuals who will learn more about their own financial management, individuals who would learn more about safety alarms, fire alarms in their houses. Each one of the things probably needs something like a literacy impact statement relative to their success. The other area at the local level in terms of service delivery is technology, is that we need to look at ways in which we can leverage technology, distance learning coupled with volunteers, coupled with full-fledged adult literacy and GED programs, to be able to accelerate the time that it takes individuals to move forward, and also give them an opportunity to be able to look and teach themselves relative to smartphones, tablets, computers, whatever access they may have. And that can be at the home, that can be in libraries, that can be in local literacy programs. Begin to utilize the advantages of technology to be able to accelerate both the speed and the progression of individuals. We think could make a huge difference. And it's really important for us to share with individuals that everyone can make a contribution. If you're so inclined, being a volunteer, teaching someone to read can be one of the most valuable and most rewarding experiences in terms of a volunteer experience for an individual. And there's an easy way to make a contribution, to make a connection, be it time, talent, or treasure.
This has been a presentation of the Library of Congress. Visit us at loc.gov.